Hello everyone. Today I'm going to discuss about the continuation of the last topic after the fractures, types and also fractures management. So next one is the complications of the fractures. So complications will be is the acute complications and also is going to be the delayed complications. So this will be we are going to discuss about the so many complications after the during the like a conservative management and also after the conservative management also may chance to get the complications, even though after the surgical management also may chance to get the so many complications. So these complications we are going to discuss here one by one in detailed manner. So first one is the complications are related to the critical blood disorders. So these blood disorders are, especially the critical disorders, are thrombosis and also embolisms. So before going to explain about the pulmonary embolism and also deep vein thrombosis, so first, what is the thrombus formation? What is the embolus formation? Why these complications are going to be common in after the fractures? Thrombosis means is the blood clot. So for simply understanding purpose, is going the blood is going to get the clot. In case of the blood stasis or stagnated, if there is no proper blood circulations, so may chance to get the thrombus formations. So for thrombus formation, so many reasons are there. But here in the fractures, it may be because of the hypovolemia and also that is no proper blood circulations. Embolus means if the thrombus formation, if the blood clot is going to be traveled in the bloodstream, if the blood clot break down from the blood vessels, so it's going to travel in the bloodstream and also is going to stuck in one particular place, so may chance to get the embolism. So if you see the image, you can understand here. So this blood clot is going to travel in the bloodstream and also is may stuck into the maybe it's stuck the circulation in between to the heart. So if there is no blood circulation to the heart, it may chance to get the embolus formations. So especially that is called the pulmonary embolism, most common complication in the fractures. So in this one, the major the disorders are the pulmonary embolism and also deep vein thrombosis. So this is because of the shock may be caused by hypovolemia. Shock means is hypovolemic shock. If because of the fracture of the pelvis or in case of the femoral shaft fractures, so because of the this long bone and also the major bones the body, so it may produce the blood loss, the more blood loss. So it will give the hypovolemic shock. It's going to reduce the volume of the blood. So especially in case of the femur is going to lose the blood loss is going to be is a 1.7 liters. It's almost is a one third of the blood is going to be lost. So because of this blood loss, so he's going to get the hypovolemic shock. If it is getting, if any fracture or any in the pelvic fractures, in those conditions is going to be around the 3.4 liters. So that means is more than half of the blood is going to be lost. So in those conditions, they may chance to get the hypovolemia. Sometimes if it is a heavy bleeding, may chance to die. So if you see the clinical features of this shock, hypovolemic shock, they are going to get the tachycardia, so also called as heart rate is going to be increased, and also the pallor from the reduced peripheral perfusions, hypoxia, and also confusion, and also a state of semi-consciousness. So these symptoms are going to found in case of who are having the hypovolemic shock. So and also may chance to get the infection and tetanus that are threatens, especially following the open fractures. So because of the open fractures, so it may gives the infection with the tetanus. And also most people are now immunized against the tetanus, are given booster tetanus injections if they have a large open wounds. So and also these things may happen. So because of the hypovolemic shock and this fracture and also the embolus also going to be happen, thrombus may be happen. If thrombus, for example, if thrombus formation occurs in the lower limbs, especially after the fractures during the immobilization period, they may chance to get the DVT. So for that, if you want for to prevent this deep vein thrombosis, so we have to advise to do the at least the simple movements while doing the like immobilization, at least the simple ankle toe movements and also any stockings are going to reduce the deep vein thrombosis. We are going to prevent. And also proper physical therapy, physiotherapy, if we do the ankle toe movement exercise, isometric exercise for the lower limbs, so also prevent the deep vein thrombosis. And also other than this one, also another infections are going may chance to get the bone infections. So because of the this blood disorders may chance to get the so which is called the osteomyelitis. So can be stubborn or to respond to a treatment. So sometimes it's so difficult to respond to the treatment, also medical management. So that is the major like infections disorders in the due to fractures. So these also serious complications due to fractures. So next important thing is the fat embolism. So fat embolism means if the fat is the embolus formations, the fat is become into the like the breakdown, and also is separated from the blood vessels, and also is traveled in the bloodstream. So may chance to get the stuck into the pulmonary like a lungs. So it may use the acute respiratory distress syndrome. So if the person sustained multiple fractures of the lung bones or large bones or crushing injuries, or if the amount of the bone marrow exposed become exposed, there may be leakage of the microscopic fat globules. So because of the bone marrow, so these fat globules are going to be exposed and also into the circulatory system. If this bone marrow fat globules are enter into the bloodstream, so if it travel in the bloodstream, if they stuck at one particular place, especially is the pulmonary regions in the lungs, so it may gives the fat embolism. So because of the obstruction of the blood flow, it may use the decrease the blood circulation to the remaining parts of the lungs, and also remaining the blood circulation also going to be decreased to the heart. It may give the severe complications. So these may be trapped in the lungs. The symptoms including the respiratory distress, shortness of the breath, drowsiness, decrease in the saturation of the oxygen levels, and also pechachi. So that is a tiny the hemorrhagics, so which appears in the chest. So if it's not identified properly, so if not treated properly, so may chance to die. So because of the fat embolisms. So this because of the, if any micro like a multiple injuries as well as the large bone fractures may chance to get the fat embolism, especially for the long bones of the femur and also in case of the in the pelvic fractures. So another complication is a plaster sores or skin plaster sores after the POP applications. Because of the improper application of the POP, or if it is because of the tightness of the POP applications, so may chance to get the blister on the skin. So these redundant areas are sore caused by the plaster or splint. This must be reported to the relevant team members. So if you identify these plasters, immediately have to inform to the concerned like the doctor's team and also nurses. So is going to be they are going to give the medical management to prevent the further like infections. So because of this pressure source may chance to get the muscle damage, and also atrophy of the muscle fibers may be torn and crushed or rupture of the results of the injury, and this will cause the additional bleeding, also swelling. So it leads to the muscle damage and also atrophy and also further damage in the muscle fibers. Tendon may be served, or particularly in case of the open fractures, sometimes there may be the rupture following the any fracture. So in those conditions, surgical intervention is usually necessary to repair the rupture. So in case of any rupture of the ligaments, surgical intervention is required to stabilize the joint. Next, another important complication is compartmental syndrome. So compartmental syndrome is nothing but is increasing the compartmental size because of the accumulation of the and swelling of the surrounding tissues. So for example, in case of the both bone fracture of the forearm and also both bone fracture of the leg, so may chance to get the compartmental syndrome. So what happened here, for example, if you open the like a both bone like a forearm region and also leg regions, if you open inside, we can see many muscles, the muscle and fascia, and also nerves, blood vessels, that is the arteries and veins. So many structures are there. So if it because of the fracture in the and also damage to these structures, so because of the infection and inflammations, these size is going to be increased. Because of the increasing size, the compartment, the space is not enough to maintain the pressure inside the compartment. So it may give the severe pain and so many symptoms. So this muscle become damaged or inflamed at the time of the injury, and also intramuscular pressure is going to be built. So inside the muscles, the pressure is going to be increased with no means of release. Death of the tissue from the ischemia may occur. So it may because of if it's not released properly, so may chance to get the ischemia and may chance to get the necrosis. So if the necrosis, the ischemia, because of the ischemia, decreased blood circulations, and also may chance to get the necrosis. So that is the tissue death. So the tissue death, what happened is going to get the so many complications. So it gives the so many symptoms we are going to discuss here. So it is defined as the condition in which the high pressure within the closed facial sheath. So if you see here, because of the swelling of the muscle, the intramuscular pressure is going to be increased. So the muscle surrounding layer is going to be the fascia. The fascia is going to covering layer. So if the muscle swelling, the pressure is going to be increased because of the covering layer of the fascia. So if you want to remove and also reduce the pressure inside, so have to open the segment, the muscular segment, and open the fascia. The compartment syndrome is seen most commonly in the anterior tibial muscles or forearm muscles. So most probably is anterior tibial muscles in the leg as well as in the forearm muscles. So these two areas are going to be more prone to get the compartment syndrome. So what are the clinical features of the compartmental syndrome? Here the important features we have to observe, that is the 5 symptoms, that is the P, it indicates the like a 5 P's we have to observe. So it will be the pale, the appearance is going to be the pale because of the decreased blood circulation, and also going to get the painful, pulseless, and also paresthesia and paralyzed. They're going to get the numbness and tingling sensation, and also unable to do the movement because of the involvement of the nerve and also muscles. So these are the major symptoms of the compartmental syndrome. These are the 5 symptoms we have to observe. So if we observe these 5 symptoms, immediately have to do the like a opening treatments. So in case of, and also we have to like a resect the compartment syndrome, and also fasciectomy how to do. So if you open the fascia, so automatically we are going to release the tension in the intramuscular, so we can reduce the pain and all the symptoms. So especially the treatment resolves the primary around the accurate diagnosis. So if we identify these 5 symptoms, so I have to check the skin color, sensation, and also movement after any injury or surgery, and also we have to do the elevate and also pull the limb. So in these conditions, so we can reduce the pain and tingling sensation and numbness. And also if not controlled, so have to do the surgical like a decompression, that is fasciotomy. So opening the fascia, because the fascia is going to covering layer. If it is compartment is going, the compartment is this much size. If the inside all the structures are going to be compressing, pressing, so if not maintained, the pressure is going to be increased. So if you open the compartment, that means if you open the like a fascia, so it's going to open the other structures, it give the space to the intramuscular structures. So it reduces the pressure and also gives the reliefness from the pain and also paresthesia. So another complication is vascular injuries. So especially in the after the fractures, so in case of may chance to get the, if the fracture fragments pierce into the organs, so we chance to get the visceral injuries. So these are going to be the most common visceral injuries is commonly seen in if any injury around the trunk. So especially the rib cage. So if any ribs are fractured, if they get the fracture, so if any piercing into the lungs, so it may give the pneumothorax. So depends upon the involvement, so they may chance to get the complications. So especially the organs may damage lungs, or sometimes is going to enter damage to the liver, or also pancreas and spleen, so may chance to get the damage. And also rupture of the bladder or urethra in the pelvic fracture. So this is also one of the important fracture in one of the injury in case of urethra, or also in case of the pelvic fracture. So in those conditions, if they get the visceral injury, the immediate treatment will be the surgical management, emergency treatment, and also how to provide. So and also may chance to be, just now we discuss hypovolemia also may chance to get, and also how to replace the fluids. And coming to the vascular injuries, so if any fracture occurs, the surrounding structures make chance to get the damage. So the vasculars are also going to be damaged if the fracture occurs. So the vasculars, especially the blood vessels, such as like arteries and veins, are going to get the damage. So if you see the different type of the fractures are going to give the fractures of the damage to the blood vessels in case of first rib fractures. So in the first rib fractures, subclavian is the vessels are going to make chance to get the damage. In case of shoulder dislocations, axillary is also going to get the damage. Axillary artery also going to get the damage. Also humeral fracture, supracondylar fracture, so brachial artery. So this is going to be the brachial artery. This is a supracondylar fracture. So it may chance to get the brachial artery. And also in case of elbow dislocation, brachial artery, if any dislocation occurs here. And also fracture pelvis is the presacral and also internal iliac artery is going to get damaged. Femoral supracondylar fracture is femoral nerve is going to damage. Knee dislocation, popliteal artery is going to get damaged. And also proximal tibial, there is a popliteal and its branches may chance to get the damage. So depends upon the involvement of the bone or involvement fracture. So the surrounding structures of the blood vessels are going to get the damage. So while checking the physical examinations, we have to check is there any abnormality related to the blood vessels, such as like any pulse, like a absent of the pulse. So we can think about the surrounding the artery may chance to get the damage. So these are the some of the arteries are going to damage according to the involvement of the fracture. So coming to the clinical features of the vascular injuries. So especially the vascular injuries, so paresthesia or numbness may chance to get, and injury limb is cold and also pale or slightly cyanosed. Cyanosed means a bluish discoloration appearance, are weak or are absent of the pulse. So if anybody having these sensations, like these clinical features after the fractures, so we can suspect any vascular injury. So in case of fractures and also say they may chance to get the vascular injuries. So because of the vascular injuries, so they may chance to get the blood vessel damage, and also they will get the like a necrosis, and also gangrene may chance to get because of the decrease in blood circulation to the particular other structures. So it may give the necrosis. And also what are the treatment plans for who are having the like a vascular injury? So how to apply all the bandages and splints should be removed. For example, if any compressions, so should be removed. And also fractures are re-x-rayed. And if the artery is being compressed, the prompt reduction is required. In case of if you are any application of the POP, and also in case of the surgical procedure also, if still the patient having the paralysis, that's the paleness, and also pulselessness, paresthesia, so we have to immediately open the like a POP or in the surgical procedures, have to check for the another any like artery involvement, any compression, have to check and remove the POP applications. So circulation is reassessed repeatedly over the next half hour. So we have to check how is the POP applications. So how is the circulations, we have to check. If no improvement, the vessel must be explored by the operation with the pre and post-operative angiography. So we have to do the angiography. We have to check for the physical examination with and also proper investigation procedures. We have to check the how is the circulation in the arteries. So that is the treatment plan for the endovascular conditions. So if it is not controlled, and also cut the vessels can be sutured, and also our segment may be replaced by the vein graft. So in sometimes it's not compressed, it's not settled properly. If there is no improvement, so they're going to do the vein graft. So take the vein from the other place of the body. They're going to resect the where they're having the compressions, and also with the vein graft. And also if it is thrombosed, if it is the blood clot, so they're going to do the enterectomy. So this is going to be removal of the blood clot or removal of the atherosclerotic part, and also to restore the blood flow. So to maintain the blood flow properly with the surgical procedures. If vessel is repaired is done, the stable the fixation is must, and also fracture should be fixed internally. So after fixing the blood vessels, after repair the blood vessels, then concentrate on the fracture fragments, stabilization with the internal fixations with the screws and plates. So that is the the management of the vascular injuries. Coming to the next one is the nerve injuries. So many nerve injury structures also going to be compromised in the fractures. So many depends upon the involvement of the like a bones. The bones, it may give the fracture to the it's damage to the surrounding nerves. So just same like is a vascular structure involvement. This also depends upon the involvement of the bones. It may give the nerve injuries, different type of the nerve injuries. If you see the shoulder dislocations, so in the shoulder dislocation, axillary nerve is going to be may chance to get the injury. So it gives they're unable to do the abduction. This axillary nerve supplies to the deltoid muscles, so they may lose the shoulder abduction. And also humeral shaft fracture. So humeral shaft, because of the humeral shaft here, so the radial nerve is going to be the course will be along with the along with the humerus. So if any fracture in the shaft of the humerus, so the radial artery is going to get the damage. And also humeral supracondylar fractures. So this is the supracondylar fracture of the humerus. So here it may chance to get the radial nerve or also medial nerve. So next one is the elbow, at the elbow medial epicondyle. So it may use the ulnar nerve. So especially is the medial epicondyle, and also is the Monteggia fracture dislocations. Posterior interest of that radial nerve is going to be affected. Hip dislocation, sciatic nerve is going to be involved. Knee dislocation is peroneal nerve is going to be involved. So it depends upon the fracture and also dislocations. We have to think about, we have to check for the surrounding nerve structures. So then only we can assess properly who are having the numbness and tingling sensation and loss of movement because of the nerve injury may chance to get. So we have to examine properly. So according to the involvement of the nerve, so how to give the treatment is either with the electrical muscle stimulation, nerve stimulation, or maybe so we have to resect the causative factors. So nerve injury is because of the any infection or inflammations, or because of the any fracture fragment compressions. So rule out the causative factor. According to the causative factors, how to treat properly. So these are about the nerve injuries, the complications. So in case of the closed nerve injuries, so these are going to be seldom severe and also spontaneous recovery occurs within the 90% within the 4 months. So in case of closed nerve injuries, if any compression or any infections, or if any like in those conditions, if we take out the causative factors, so may chance to get the recovery 90% within the 4 months. So here is a now should be explored if no recovery and nerve conduction studies, EMG fail to show the evidence of the recovery. So if it's no recovery with the close treatments, so then we have to expose and also check the where is the causative factor and what is the causative factors, and also in nerve conduction studies as well as EMG studies. So if these nerve conduction studies and EMG studies, so we can understand the where is the exact the injury and also what is the causative factors. So then according to the nerve conduction studies and EMGs, so we can give the improvement if we do like a repair that now. And also open nerve injuries. So now should be explored at the time of the debridement and also repair at the time at the wound and close. So if the nerve is exposed outside because of the open nerve injuries, so that time also have to explore the nerve as well as how to do the debridement and also repair. So debridement means whatever the infected materials or maybe is the foreign body materials, if they exposed with nerve injuries, how to clear and also clean the like a debridement, the waste material and also dirt materials, and have to repair after the time of the wound closing. So this also going to be improves the normal functions. So if it is not debridement properly, so it may use other complications such as the gas gangrene and also some other infections may chance to get for the open nerve injuries. In case of acute nerve compressions, so sometimes occurs with dislocations and also around at the wrist. So these are going to be acute nerve compressions. So may chance to get especially for the dislocations around the wrist. So in those conditions, numbness and paresthesia in the distribution of the medial nerve and ulnar nerve. So if any dislocation on the wrist, so they may chance to get the medial nerve and ulnar nerve. And also is a reduction or splinting of the bandage around the splint. So if you give the close reductions, if you give the manipulation under general anesthesia or local anesthesia, with application of the splint, also we are going to prevent the these acute nerve compressions. Okay, if no improvement within the 48 hours now, in 48 hours, so now should be explored and also compromised. So if there is no improvement, so still paresthesia, there is no like a sensation, no movement, and also in those conditions within the 48 hours, if there is no response, so have to explore and also have to do the open surgery to the repair the compression nerve. And also indications of the early explorations. So in case of when they are going to have to do the exploration, so in associated with the open fractures, in case of the open fractures, where the bleeding is heavy, so if the loss of movement and paresthesia and tingling sensations, and also in case of the fractures that need internal fixations. So if in case of internal fixations, we have to explore, is there any surrounding structures are damaged or not, have to explore properly. According to the damage, so how to do the internal fixations. And coming to the presence of the Concomitant vascular injuries. So that means if any vascular injuries, and we have to check for the any nerve injury also have to check because of the fracture fragments may damage the surrounding structures. Diagnosed after the manipulation of the fractures. So in case of if any after the manipulation also because of the improper manipulation also sometimes may use the compression to the nerves. In those conditions also have to do the exploration. So coming to the another complication is hemoarthrosis. Hemoarthrosis means is nothing but is accumulation of the blood inside the joint is called as the hemoarthrosis. So it's going to be effect to the joint, the bleeding occurs and also is going to develop inside the joint. So because of the accumulation of the blood, or is going to be may chance to get the joint become tense and swollen, and also the patient resists to the any movements, so unable to allow to the do the movements. So this going to be the blood should be aspirated before dealing with the fractures. So if anybody get the bleeding inside the joint, so before the fracture management, have to clear this bleed. Otherwise, it may use the infection and also the joint is going to be become stiff because of the hemarthrosis. So may chance to get the adhesion formations. So before treating the a fracture management, before giving this one, have to first clear the blood, then only start with the fracture management. And also other complications are one of the important complication is gas gangrene. So this gas gangrene is because of the clostridial infections. So this gangrene is because of if the infection is not treated properly. So that means if they met with an accident, after the accident, the cleanness and also cleaning should be properly. If there is no proper debridement, that means the cleaning of the wound is not properly and appropriate. So it may give the like a debridement, like a gas gangrene. So it will give the infections and also this is the serious complications. If it is not controlled properly, so it may lead to the necrosis. So and also may chance to get the it may spread to the other parts of the body, and also see it gives sometimes it requires the amputations. If it is it may gives the death also in some severe cases. So that is about the gas gangrene. It's because of the improper like a cleaning of the wound or debridement. So toxins can cause the necrosis of the tissue and promotes the spread of the disease. So because of the any toxins materials, so it may spread to the other parts of the body. It may use the necrosis and also it spread to the other tissues. So what are the clinical features of this gas gangrene? So this is going to be happening in the okay, the clinical features of the gas gangrene is going to be within the 24 hours injury may chance to get of these symptoms. So this is going to give the like a discoloration. Here the appearance is going to be changed. So it's severe pain and also intense pain, swelling around the wound, and also brownish discharge is going to get little or no pyrexia, increasing pulse rate, and is going to smell a characteristic smell, and patient rapidly become toxemia and may lapse into the coma and also death. Sometimes they are going to get because of the toxic and also effect. So it may spread to the other bodies and also it may use the death also. So how to prevent this gas gangrene? So all the dead tissue should be completely excised. So main thing is after getting the fracture or anything also should be cleaned properly. So should be debridement properly with the saline water and also antiseptic solutions. So and then only how to treat the fractures. So according to the fracture fragments. So doubt about the tissue viability, the wound should be left open. Sometimes if it's not clean, and also if any like a foreign body materials or if any toxins available, we have to open the wound and also keep it in the opening. So if any debris, any like a drain, if any formation of the fluids, they are going to drain properly. So we can prevent if you clear the debridement as well as if you open the wound openly. So, and also the treatment is going to be, that is depends upon the early diagnosis. So if you find the, like any symptoms related to the gas gangrene, so the treatment will be easy and also accurate. And also how to do the fluid replacement. So in the fluid replacement, so if any fluid lies, because of who are having the fractures, because of the bleeding, may chance to get the like a hypovolemia. So because of the hypovolemia, they also may chance to get the dehydration. So how to replace the fluids with the, and also fluids as well as the intravenous antibiotics. So these intravenous antibiotics will prevent the infections. So these infections, we can prevent the gas gangrene. Next one is, if we give the treatments with oxygen therapy, it's hyperbaric oxygen therapy also. So this oxygen therapy limits the spread of the gangrene. So if we increase the oxygen supplies to the damaged tissue, so we can prevent and control the infections. We can prevent the like a gas gangrene. And also prompt decompression of the wound and also removal of the dead tissues is compulsory. So if we remove the dead tissues and also decompression of the wound and removal of the dead tissues will improve the circulation, and also it reduces the infection. In severe cases, amputation in advanced cases. So amputation is required in case of severe gas gangrene. So that means amputation means removal, a surgical removal of the part. So we have to remove to control the infections. So if we remove the limb, so it won't, we can prevent the spreading the infection from the one place to the another place. So that's about the complications in the early complications. If you see in the late complications, so these late complications are going to be the many late complications we can see in like a delayed union, malunion, non-union, and also stiffness, there is radiation formations, and may chance to get the avascular necrosis. So osteoarthritis, muscle contractures, joint contractures may chance to get. So we are going to detail all these late complications here. So first one is the delayed union. Delayed union means when the fractures takes more than the usual time to unite. Normally, if the fracture healing is going to start, so within the days to, like in the months, is going to start and going to finish the healing is going to finish within the 1 year. But after the two, depends upon the fracture fragments in the upper limb or either lower limb. So we have to maintain the POP applications for the upper limb at least 1 month to 1.5 months. For the lower limb is going to be 2 months to 2.5 months. So if you maintain, so the healing is going to take place. But if after the 2 months or 3 months also still there is no healing time, there is no unity or no callus formations, so we called as the delayed union. So the factors, what are the causative factors for these delayed unions? So it may be because of the biological causative factors, biomechanical causative factors are related to the patient's orient related one. So many causative factors are there for the causative like a delayed unions. So for example, in case of the biological one, if there is no like a blood circulation to the fracture fragments, if the inadequate blood supply, so because of the inadequate blood supply, the soft tissue damage effects going to be damage healing the process. So because of the inadequate blood supply and also reducing the effectiveness of the muscle splintage. So if the muscle splintage is not effective, and also draining the local blood supply. So in case of the draining the local supply, diminishing or eliminating the osteogenic input from the mesenchymal stem cells within the muscles, or in case of the periosteal stripping. So because of anything, or may chance to get give the delayed union. And also who are having the delayed unions, the clinical symptoms and clinical features are going to get the fracture site is going to get the tenderness. So after 2 months and 3 months also, so they may chance to get the tenderness. If you press the fracture fragment, fracture area is going to get the tenderness. And pain may be acute, and also on the X-ray, the fracture line remains visible. So we can see if we take the X-ray, so normally in the healing phase means after the 1 month, so the healing is going to occur. And also if we take the after the POP application or surgical procedure in the POP application with the conservative management. So after 1.5 months or 2 months also, if you take X-ray again, we are going to see the fracture line. So in case of if any improper blood circulation to the fracture segments. There is a very little or incomplete callus formation or periosteal reactions. So after checking the X-ray, so we still the incomplete callus formation we can see in there. However, the bone ends are not sclerosed or is atrophic. And also in case of suggested that although the fracture has not united, is eventually will. So that means in case of if any atrophy or in a sclerosed or because of the decreased blood circulations, if no callus formations, so it will be called as the delayed union. So what will be the treatment plan for the delayed union? The first, the conservative principles are to eliminate the possible causative factor for the delayed union. So it's because of the any compression or because of the bandage. So we have to know the what is the causative factor. So what is the position of the fragments, and then according to causative factors, if we treat, so we can improve the healing process. And also to promote the healing by the providing the most appropriate environment. So we have to provide the healing process, so we improve the blood circulation to the fracture fragments. So this is going to be immobilization should be sufficient to prevent the shear at the fracture site. So we have to apply the like a immobilization POP application or splint applications. So whether by the cast or internal fixations. So if it's not controlled, you have to apply the fixation through the internal fixator, screws and plates. But the fracture loading is important to stimulate the union can be enhanced by encouraging the muscular exercise and also weight bearing exercise during the cast application or brace application. Physiotherapy is the very, very important role in the delayed union. So if you give the proper exercises to stimulate the healing and also to stimulate the blood circulation, as well as the is going to be increasing the callus formations. So this will takes a place depends upon the weight bearing and depends upon the muscular exercises. So these are the some treatment plans for the delayed union. So in case of it's not recovered with of exercises and also conservative management, then only thing is have to go for the surgical procedures. So if the union is delayed more than 6 months, after 6 months also, if there is no callus formations, so and also should go operate and also fix with the internal fixations, and also bone grafting is indicated. In case of if the more than 6 months, if there is no improvement in the healing process, so surgical procedure have to done in this with the internal fixation with the screws and plates, as well as with the bone grafting is in case of the any indications for the bone grafting. And also another is a complication is the non-union. So this non-union also, they may chance to get that means they won't get any union. So that is the delayed union gradually turns into non-union. So sometimes after 6 months or 1 year also, if there is no healing process, so that condition is called as the non-union. So that the fracture will never unite without interventions. So if you give the cast applications, splint applications, so sometimes they won't get any improvement because of the decreasing blood supply or maybe because of the any other factors, so they won't get any healing process. So in those conditions, they need the proper interventions with the surgical management. So here the movement can be accelerated at the fracture site and pain diminishes. The fracture gap becomes the type of the pseudoarthrosis. So here, if you see here, they won't they won't get any healing, but the pain is going to be decreased, and still the gap is going to become like a pseudoarthrosis. How the joint is going to be accumulated with the blood, so is also going to get the arthrosis is going to get the swelling with the fluid accumulations, and also if it is the accumulation with the blood, also may chance to get that is the hemarthrosis may develop. So in these conditions, so that we are going to feel the deformity in the limb. So either upper limbs or lower limb. So if you see here, the patient has the pseudoarthrosis of the humor. So we can feel the arthrosis is going to be like a swelling in the bone. So and also deformity also we can observe here. So if you take the X-ray, we can see the gap between the two bone fragments. So that is because of the non-union. So it's because of the delayed union, it may progress to the non-union. So what are the causative factors for the non-unions? So this is poor soft tissue injuries. So that means is either from the injury or surgery, or the local infections associated with the drug abuse or anti-inflammatory drugs, or cytotoxic immunosuppressive medications, some medications, and non-compliance on the part of the patients. So these are the major causative factors for the non-unions. So it's because of the inside tissue as well as the infections, or any drugs also may chance to give the non-unions. So what are the treatment plans for the non-unions? The conservative management is going to be non-union is occasionally symptomless, is a needing no treatment, at most is a removable splint with a hypertrophic non-union. Functional bracing may be sufficient to induce the union. Sometimes if it is like a POP applications, so first remove the POP applications, or maybe we can give the any functional bracing. See, this functional brace is going to give the stabilization as well as the micro movement at the fracture fragment. This will help to improve the blood circulations and also may chance to get the healing. And also we can give the pulse electromagnetic field with the physiotherapy treatments such as the pulse electromagnetic equipments as well as the ultrasound treatments. So these treatments are going to be improve the healing and also stimulate the healing and also it improves the healing. So these are the special treatments from the physiotherapy also important during the fracture. The another one is another treatment, another complication is the malunion. So malunion means is abnormal union. Is going to be is the abnormal direction. Maybe they chance to get the because of the angulations, because of the rotation or shortening, they may chance to get the abnormal healing. So that is called as malunion. So normally should be in the straight. For example, for example the both fragments should be in the after displacement should be in the same directions. If it is abnormal direction, if it because of the angle or because of the rotations or because of the shortening of limbs or bone fragments, it may use the abnormal union. It will unite, but is abnormal directions. So these are the causes are the failure to reduce the fracture adequately. So reduction methods are going to be improper. So they may chance to get the malunion. Failure to hold the reduction while healing process. So if the reduction process is not proper, if the POP application or splint applications or maybe functional arthrosis are going to be not applied properly, so may chance to get the malunion. And also gradual collapse of the comminuted or also osteoporotic bone. If any damage in the, any problem in the comminuted fractures. So in case of multiple fractures or in the multiple piece of the fractures, if it is not stabilized, if it collapsed or maybe is a osteoporotic bone, is because of the pathological changes or if the big bone becomes thinning, so it won't maintain the stability, so it may chance to get the malunion. The common sites of the malunions are most commonly seen in case of the supracondylar fracture of the humerus and also Colles fracture. So especially in case of the wrist fracture, if anybody fall on outstretched hand, so they may chance to get the fracture in the heel region of the wrist joint. It may give the Colles fracture. So if because of the malunion, may chance to give the dinner fork deformity. How the fingers are going to be if you see the dinner fork, how the fork the spikes are there, so it's going to be like a dinner fork, abnormal posture. So this is the dinner fork deformity. So may chance to get because of the malunion. And also in case of the supracondylar fracture of the humerus, if any fracture in the supracondylar region of the humerus, so may chance to get the abnormal. So they may chance to get the elbow flexion deformities, may chance to get. And also because of these malunions, may chance to get the deformity, shortening of the limbs, and also limitation of the movement. They will get the limb movement is going to be restricted, and the size also, length is also going to be small. Here, the investigation process, the X-rays are essential to check the position of the fracture while it's uniting. So while giving the treatment, in between have to take the X-ray. So we have to check how is the healing process of the fracture fragments. Important during the first 3 weeks when the situation may change without the warning. So that's the reason. So we have to check any signs or some symptoms of the malunions. So according to the symptoms and signs, maybe if we check the X-rays, so at the 3rd week, so if we find any warning signs, so we have to take the precautionary measure to avoid the malunion. So the treatment plan, so it will be different according to the age group. For the adults and also children, it will be different. In adults, the fracture should be reduced as near to the anatomical position as possible. So if it is, for example, the displacement, so we have to do the reductions and also maintaining the reductions, and bony fragments should be in the stable in the anatomical positions. If angulation is more than 10 degrees to 15 degrees in a long bone or noticeable rotational deformities may need to correction by the remanipulations. If it is more than 10 to 15 degrees, again have to do the remanipulations, or if it's not the closed reductions, I have to do the osteotomy and fixation. Osteotomy means with open reduction, internal fixations. So that means how to cut the malunion area if it's angulated or rotated. So how to do the surgical procedure, opening up the bone and also resect it and also fix it in the proper positions with the internal fixations with the screws and plates. In children, these angular deformities near to the bone ends, so is going to be especially if the deformity is in the same plane, the movement near to the joints will usually remold with the time. And also, it's a rotational deformities will not. So if the children's, it may sometimes is because of the age factors, it will usually remodel with the time. It takes time, but is going to be comes to the normal positions. But in case of the rotational deformities, maybe you won't get it normally. So in those conditions also have to do the surgical procedures. In the lower limbs and also shortening more than 2 centimeters, so seldom is acceptable to the patients. So the limb length is equalized procedure may be indicated. So in these conditions, Ilizarov techniques. So in the Ilizarov techniques, in the last class, we discussed about the what type of the treatment methods, that is external fixations. So these external fixations are going to use in case of the bone shortening is more than 2 centimeters. So another is another complications of the delayed or late complications of the avascular necrosis. Avascular necrosis means nothing but means the loss. The vascular means the blood vessels. The blood supplies to the particular fragments or segment is going to give the complications, especially in case of the hip. So in case of the hip fractures, so if because of the hip fractures, so may chance to get the decreased blood circulation to the hip joint. So because of the compression of the blood vessels, so or maybe the damage of the blood vessels. So here is going to be get the development of the ischemia. So it may lead to the necrosis. So the tissue is going to get the death. So it gives the severe pain and restriction of the movements. So the common sites in the body, especially the femur, is going to get in case of the fracture femoral neck dislocations, as well as the proximal part of the scaphoid. So this also on the wrist joint also is going to get, and lunate and body of the talus in the lower limbs. So is going, these are the major sites in the hip and also scaphoid and lunate and also talus is going to, these are the major bones are going to be affected. So with the avascular necrosis. So because of the avascular necrosis, the blood circulation is going to decrease, ischemia will develop, and also the tissue is going to make chance to death. So it decreasing the range of movements and all the muscles are going to be get the shortening and also becomes the atrophy. So the consequences will be because of the necrosis, deformation of the bone, and also leads to the osteoarthritis and painful limitations. So these are the major complications because of the avascular necrosis. So if you see the X-rays, so it shows the density is going to be increasing density at the X-ray, which occur as consequence of the two factors. So it's either because of the diffuse atrophy or diffuse osteoporosis, or surrounding parts given to the impression is increasing density in the necrotic segments. So we are going to find out in the X-ray. So it's going to give the intensity is going to be, the density is going to be increased. So with this one, we can easily find in the X-ray. And also collapse of the trabecular compact bone and increases density. So if you see the X-ray, the trabecular system is going to be collapsed because of decrease the blood circulation to the tissues. So in these conditions, the trabecular system is going to be collapsed. The trabecular system is going to give the strengthening to the bone to maintain the bone integrity and also joint integrity. So these are the major features we are going to observe in the X-ray. So what is the treatment plan for the avascular necrosis? So these are usually becomes necessary when joint function is threatened. In the old age peoples, the necrosis of the femoral head. So in those conditions, only the treatment option is the arthroplasty. So that is replacement surgeries. So knee replacement or maybe hip replacement have to done in case of in the old age people. In the younger age peoples, so realignment or maybe going to do the osteotomy or maybe is arthrodesis. So they're going to fuse the joint, or maybe they're going to opening the joint, they resect where they're having the problem. They're going to also repair the joint and also fix with the internal fixations. So in case of avascular necrosis in the scaphoid or talus may need to more than symptomatic treatments, but arthrodesis of the wrist and ankle sometimes needed. So in case of severe conditions, if not improvement occurs, so have to do the surgical procedures with the arthrodesis. So arthrodesis means the joint going to fuse. So different type of the techniques they're going to use. So desis means they're going to fuse the joint, so to prevent the other complications. And also other complications are the late complications of the fractures is because of the fractures may chance because in case of the spinal cord fractures, spinal cord injuries, or because of the pelvic fractures and also femoral fractures. So unable to walk and also they have to bedridden continuously, have to stay on the bed a prolonged time. So because of the prolonged time may chance to get the pressure source. So these pressure sources are going to be more prone on the prominent areas, especially is the bony prominence areas such as in the sacrum, as well as if you see from the top to down is going to be more prone in the occipital region and also scapular region. Next in the elbow and also sacral, lumbar region, and also below the knees and also heel regions. So these parts are going to be more prone to get the bed sores. So if it is in the And the early stages is going to get the like lacerations, and also skin and superficial skin is going to damage. If it is progress, it's going to affect to the muscles, and also it's going to affect the joints and bones. So it depends upon the grade of the severity of the bed sores. So to prevent this bed sores, so how to prevent the the pressure prominence areas, to avoid the pressure areas and the prominence places. So for this one is we have to give some air bed or water bed to prevent the pressure source. So this one is every 2 hours, at least minimum every 2 hours, have to turn the patient from side to side. If the patient is supine lying, have to change to the side lying to right side and left side, and prone lying. At least minimum is a 1 hour to 2 hours, have to change the positions, and also this air bed and water bed also to prevent the pressure areas. So, and also the treatment is difficult by necrotic excisions. So if in case of the tissue is necrosis, so in those conditions, so treatment will be very difficult. Only thing is a excretion of the necrotic tissues. And sometimes in severe cases, grade 4 bed sources, who are having the involvement of the muscle as well as the joint, for them is the skin grafting is needed, indicated. And also vacuum assisted closures for the sacral sources. So have to do some vacuum assisted closures is needed in case of the grade 4 bed sores. And also another complication is the myositis ossificans. So this myositis ossificans is most commonly seen in who are having the injuries around the elbow joints. Is nothing but is the heterostropic ossifications, that is a new bone growth formations. So its extra tissue is going to be developed around the elbow joints. So it's because of the improper movements or improper immobilization of the joints. So most commonly it's in the elbow region. So dislocation of the elbow or blow to the brachialis and deltoid and quadriceps. So if any damage to these muscles and surrounding the elbow joints, may chance to get the extra tissue formations, so which is called as the ossificans, myositis ossificans. And also the symptoms will be the pain, swelling, and tenderness. And also if you see in the scan, bone scan, that increase going to be, the scan is increase the activity. So is going, and also because of this ossificans is going to decreasing the joint range of motions. And especially who are having these problems have to immobilize properly. And also if it is not controlled, so then we have to do the surgical procedure, excision of the extra information of the tissues. And also then have to give the NSAIDs to reduce the pain. And if it's not controlled, so the radiotherapy also is useful to reduce this ossificans. So this is also one of the late complications in the fractures. And also other complications are the tendon lesions. So may chance to get the tendon injuries. So if it is it's a tendinitis, it's an inflammation of the tendons, may chance to get. So especially tibialis posterior tendon after the medial malleolus fractures. So it depends upon the involvement of the fracture fragment. So the surrounding tendons are going to be affected. In case of tibialis posterior tendon, in case of the medial malleolus fractures. So this one is going to be rupture of the extensor pollicis longus tendon after the fracture of the 6 to 12 weeks of the fracture of the lower radius. So if the radius injury, so may chance to get the extensor pollicis longus, may chance to get. So these are going to be corrected by the transfer of the extensor indicis and also profuse tendon. So sometimes have to do the tendon replacement surgeries will help to improve this tendon functions. So these are the complications may chance to get after the fractures. Another one is the nerve compressions. So in the nerve compression, while using the any crutches, or maybe because of the position of the patient positions, or maybe because of the any splint applications, or any abnormal application of the splints or crutches, also may chance to get the nerve compressions. So it may give the a paresthesia and loss of functions and wasting in the muscles. So especially lateral popliteal now in case of the external rotations. And also radial palsy because of the crutches. If you use the improper crutches while doing the gait training or while walking patterns, because of the compression in the axillary now, so may chance to get because of the compression of with the crutch pads, so may gives the radial nerve palsy. So and this leads to the numbness, paresthesia, and also lower loss of the power and wasting. So the muscle become the wasting, muscle become thin because of the decreasing the blood supply and also nutrient supply. And also ulnar nerve or median nerve, posterior tibial nerve also going to be affected. So who are having this nerve injuries, so only treatment plan is how to do the physiotherapy properly. So we have to identify which nerve is compressing because of the abnormal posture. If it is not controlled with the physiotherapy and also the cost, if we remove the causative factors, then how to do the surgical procedures with the decompressions, how to find and also explore the where the nerve injury is there. So how to do the decompression techniques. So, and also another complications is the muscular contractures, muscle contractures, because of the prolonged like inability on the bed. So may chance to get the muscle contractures, muscle tightness. So ischemic contractures of the affected muscles. So for example, you are having the like a fracture in the knee joint. So because of the rest in the immobility, so they may chance to get the contracture in the hamstring and also may chance to get in the contracture in the calf muscles. So we have to find the which we are having the contractures and tightness. According to that things, we have to give some stretchings and also have to apply the some splintings. But the forearms and legs also may chance to get, especially in the biceps and also forearm muscles in the fingers. So it will give the wasting as well as the clawing of the fingers. So because of the tightness of the or contracture of the these forearm muscles, it may use the claw fingers. So it depends upon the involvement of the muscles. If the flexor compartment or if the it may chance to get the radial claw hand or maybe ulnar claw hand may chance to get. So depends upon the involvement of the muscle group. If it's the ulnar muscles involved, if the ulnar compartment is involved, so his ulnar claw hand will get. If the radial is going, the medial now is going to get the median claw hand. And also we have to, these things are may chance to get the due to injuries and also tight bandage. The causative factor for the contraction is tight bandages or because of the injury. And also sometimes calf ischemia, so it may use the popliteal artery or it's the divisions, its divisions. So calf also may chance to get the decreased blood supply because of the popliteal artery and its divisions is obstructions. So only thing is we have to do the stretching exercise and maintain the flexibility with the weight bearings and also proper muscle stretchings. And if it's not possible, how to do the tendon transfer with the surgical management. So another is a complication is the radiation formations. These are nothing but is the formation of the like a stiffness in the joints. So it is the intra-articular adhesions and also peri-articular adhesions. So this is because of purely related to the immobilization of the fractures. So with the POP applications as well as the like as internal fixations. So if you won't give the proper like a mobilization, proper exercise by the physiotherapist, if they're not continuing the exercises, they may chance to get the radiation formations. So these intra-articular adhesions may occur when the fractures extend to the joint surfaces. In case of hemarthrosis, the bleeding in the joint, it may give the intra-articular adhesions. So bleeding inside the joint, it gives the intra-articular adhesions. If the edema occurs and also not reduced, allowing the organize the surrounding tissues, so may chance to get the peri-articular adhesions. So if the edema is there in the surrounding to the joints, so we may chance to get the adhesion formations. So this leads to the adhesion formations between the tissues as the capsules and ligaments results in the joint stiffness. So any problem surrounding to the joints, such as in the ligaments and capsules and surrounding tissues, if any tightness is going to give the damage and also the adhesion power stiffness in the periarticular structures. Next one is the joints instability may chance to get because of the ligament laxity or because of the muscle weakness and bone loss. So only thing is because of the joint laxity, because the ligament laxity may chance to get the recurrent dislocations. So how to control the laxity with a proper isometric exercise or with a strengthening exercise, we are going to prevent the joint laxity. So another complication is the pseudoosteotic dystrophy, or also called as reflex sympathetic dystrophy. So because of the autonomic nervous system activity, so may chance to get the swelling and also tingling and pain sensation in the fracture side. So this is because of the post-traumatic injury. So it's completely is related to the autonomic nervous system activity. So they may chance to get the swelling and also they may chance to get the severe pain and tingling sensations. So it's because of it's a noxious injury. That means like the nerve involvement, so may chance to get that. Osteotic dystrophy. Or in case of the carsalgia also develop because of nerve ending injury, so may give the carsalgia and severe pain, burning sensation, swelling, redness, and also some muscles are going to get the atrophy. So these are the most common complications in the is because of the fracture. And also how to recognize and early recognition, and also activation of the elevation and activation exercise are going to improve the blood circulations at the fracture fragments, and also NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. If in case of is not controlled, how to give the anesthesia to control the pain, and also drugs like is the amitriptyline, carbamazepine, so gabapentin. These are the nerve. These medications are going to stop the signals in the nerve, so it's controlling the pain. So especially this carbamazepine, gabapentins are going to be, is especially this carbamazepine. This also going to give the for anti-convulsion seizure drugs, is going to give the neural activity, so going to reduce the pain at the fracture fragments. And also physiotherapy is very, very important in case of pseudogastric dystrophy. So if we give the proper exercises and also elevation of the limb along with the IFT, interferential therapy, and also transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulations. So these are going to be helpful to increasing the blood circulations as well as to reducing the swelling. So this will improve the functional activities. So another complication is the osteoarthritis because of the damage, the post-traumatic damage. If any damage to the articular cartilage, is may chance to get the joint stiffness, and also because of the malunion, also may chance to get because of the secondary osteoarthritis. So these are the many complications of the fracture. So many complications in the acute conditions, in the delayed, in the late complications. If you identify the complications, so if we find the causative factors, so then we can prevent the complications, we can control and we can prevent the other abnormalities. So that's all about the complications of the fractures. So hope you understand. So see you in the next class. Thank you very much.